certain that I know at least a little bit about why bad things happen to really, really good people. This has been quite a difficult week. I mean, not for myself. I've had a great week, you know. I've had a great week, but I have just been, as I was thinking about what I was going to share today, I have just been really surprised, I guess you could say, with just the trial, just the amount of struggle and trial and heartache and heartbreak and devastation that has been going on around me. Just this week, my little niece has been staying with us because her sister, obviously my other niece, has been in the hospital with just some really hard, awful things that has been really hard for their family. She's okay now. She's out of the hospital. She's okay now. But also, just this week, my mom and her husband, so my parents are divorced, and my dad's passed away, now, but my mom and her new husband are struggling quite a bit. He is just really struggling with some physical ailments. He's got really bad hips, and he's just really struggling with walking, and he's such a goer kind of a guy, and this has been really, really hard for him. And that's been really hard, to hear about. I think some of the hardest trials in this life don't really happen to us. They happen to the people that we love. And so it's hard for us to watch people that we love suffer and struggle. And I'm not saying that my trials are the worst, because I've had to do that this week, but I'm saying that my mom's trials maybe are pretty hard because she's had to, endure my stepdad's, trials. It's been just really hard to watch him struggle for her. And she has just been really heartbroken about it. Additionally, and it doesn't even stop there, that's just some of my family, but so I don't know if you guys know, but I homeschool my kids. So before the comments start blowing up, they're well adjusted, they're very social, they participate in many extracurricular activities. Anyway, so that said, they're a part of these, cooperative organizations, these co-ops, and I have been kind of taken aback with how much sickness there is, and when I say sickness, I'm talking about there's a lot of cancer. I know 3 women personally, and I would consider friends, who have cancer, and it is just so hard. And they're in different stages of cancer, One of them is right in the heat of chemotherapy and is, looking forward to this summer to doing radiation and things like that. And one is not quite as into that yet. She just found out, and there's and then the third one, she's in stage 4, and she's already had chemo, and she's had a double mastectomy, and it's just been really hard. And not only hard for these 3 women, but their families. It's just been so hard for them. And I guess maybe one of the reasons that I've been thinking about trials so much this week especially is because I've known about these things, for a few weeks, but just this week especially, we just had a really good friend of mine, her son, passed away in a fire accident, and he was they were just at a camp out, it was just really awful and really hard for them, and just really hard just in general. And it makes me feel just so sad for them. And I would never show up to any of these people and be like, well, I know why bad things happen to good people, you should listen to me, I know everything. No, I would never say that, and I don't even feel that. I don't even feel like I know everything about anybody, or even a lot about anybody, but I do know about myself, and I do know about my own struggles and my own adjustment and my own needs and I don't know, it was hard. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Meg Johnson, and I hope you're not watching this as a painting tutorial, because this is how I danced. I mean, I used to dance when I could walk, and I loved dancing, and it was just so wonderful. And after I got paralyzed, I accidentally jumped off a cliff and I fell 45 feet and broke my neck 20 years ago. And ever since then, I've discovered that painting, to me, feels like dancing. So it's not like you're gonna watch some major artwork be created here, but it feels like dancing to me, and it's a huge relief. It's a huge, detox. And my husband will take our kids. We've got 4 kids, and he takes them while I paint and while I just talk to you, my friends, on YouTube, so that I can de-stress and get ready for another week. And it's been really awesome. My husband's pretty dang amazing. We've been married 16 years, and I'm as in love with him as ever. Anyway, so quite a few years ago, when I was paralyzed, one of the guys that I met, his name was Mark Christiansen. And Mark Christiansen was the second longest living quadriplegic in, I think, the world. You didn't really survive too well a long time ago. He was paralyzed in the 60s. I want to say 1967, but he was paralyzed a long time ago in a diving accident at Lake Powell. And when he just lived. He just kept on living. They really didn't know too much about spinal cord injuries or how to save you or how to keep you, alive too much. And so until like the 80s, until when Christopher Reeves, aka Superman, broke his neck, that's when all of the studies started to happen. But my friend Mark, he just lived through all of that, and he really just plowed on through. And it's pretty remarkable that he would and could live through all of that, and it's pretty awesome. So he did. He lived through all of that, and I met him when I was paralyzed in 2004. And when I was paralyzed in 2004, I showed up to outpatient physical therapy in NeuroWorks down in Sandy, Utah. And I showed up there, and with the doctors there and the physical therapist there and all of that. And he was there. He was still taking outpatient physical therapy, and we were just the blind leading the blind. So I met him, and I was telling him all about myself because he was so nice. He was asking me all about myself, and just super nice guy. And he wanted to eat some grapes. And so he had some grapes right there, and I was just brand new to a wheelchair, to my new hands. My hands are totally paralyzed. And he wanted to eat these grapes, but he's a quadriplegic like you think of when you think of quadriplegia. Like, he could not move his arms to scratch his nose. Like, he just couldn't do it. And so his arms are paralyzed, his chest is paralyzed, his stomach, his back, his legs, he couldn't move anything. He was just on a power chair like this, and he wanted to eat some grapes. And so he called me Little Meg. He's like, "Hey, Little Meg, you think you can feed me some of those grapes?" And I'm brand new to a wheelchair, and brand new to my brand new hands and everything. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you want some grapes?" And I'm trying to feed him these grapes, and my hands are going all over the place, and there's grapes falling on the floor. And he's just smiling and laughing and so patient with me as I'm trying to feed him these funny grapes. And we became really good friends after that. And so he's a good guy. I would see him a lot down there in Sandy when I would go to outpatient physical therapy, and then when I stopped going, we would still hang out sometimes, and I'd show up to, his family had a birthday party for him and stuff. We went to there. And so he's just like a good, funny, super awesome guy, and I loved him very much. The last time I saw Mark, he told me that he had cancer, and he had lived a long time, and he had fought a good fight, and he told me that he wasn't going to fight the cancer. He said, I've lived a good life, and I'm ready to go. And I was sad, because I'm not sure I was, ready to let him go, and it's not my decision to make, but I'm happy, happy for him, but I was sad and I cried and I just thought, I was like, man, he's gonna go to heaven. And I was like, Mark, when you're dead, will you come back? And will you find me? And will you tell me why God did this to us? And he laughed. And he said, Meg, little Meg, he called me little Meg. He's like, little Meg, I don't know if I'm going to heaven. But if I do, and if I get a chance, I'll come back and I'll deliver that message if I'm allowed. Mark did pass away. And a while later, he did come back. And he delivered a message to me. And before anyone thinks anything, like I'm not claiming any special gifts, and I'm not claiming any angel sightings or anything. I didn't see him, but I heard him. And he said, I was talking to a friend. She was my next door neighbor, and I was talking to her, and I don't remember exactly what she was talking about, just something about how, she was inspired by me or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was she was saying. But then she said something that didn't sound like her. It sounded like my friend Mark. And she said, Meg, I know why this happened to you. And then she delivers a message that I know Mark was sending to me. Before I tell you what he said, I really think it's important, if you maybe at home, wherever you are, watching this little YouTube video, I think it's important if you think about your own trials first, because yeah, Mark delivered this message to me and it really is, meaningful to me, but I think it's just as valuable and just as applicable for each one of us, the message that he gave to me. So think about that for a second. Think about your trials, the things that you have going on that you can't get rid of. I think if you have a trial that you can get rid of, you should probably definitely get rid of that trial, because there are enough trials going around that God delivers that we don't need to do any for ourselves. So if you can get rid of a trial, I recommend doing that. But short of that, the trials that we have, I think that his message to me is just really important and impactful and can help all of us. So with that being said, and with you thinking of your own trials, I'll tell you that I heard my friend Mark say, I know why God did this to you. I know why God did this to you. And then my friend Sunny said the message from Mark, and she said, God did this to you because it was the only thing he could do that would challenge you. I know that we're on this earth, one of the reasons, to get a body and to do good things and right things and learn to choose the good part. But I don't believe that little phrase that you see sometimes on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on whatever, where it says God won't give you more than you can handle. Like if he won't give you more than you can handle. I've seen the one that says if God brings you to it, he'll get you through it. Sure, yeah, I absolutely believe that. But I don't believe that God gives you, that God doesn't give you more than you can handle. I believe that God does give you more than you can handle. And I believe that he does that so that we have a reason to grow and stretch and use every talent and strength that we have inside of us to manage this, to handle this, to deal with this, to be happy in spite of this experience that's going on, but also so that we max out and we have a reason to reach for God and to let him help us and to let him help us not just endure, but to help us grow and to be stronger because of the trial that he gives us. I, in no way, shape, or form, think that this knowledge is terribly helpful when we are experiencing devastating trials like like is going on with just some really close friends that I have. However, as we come to accept and grow and look for reasons for why things are happening to us, I do think it can be a little bit helpful at that time. And so maybe some of you are watching this being like, I'm not ready to hear that. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're not ready to hear that, and that's okay. But maybe you are. Maybe you're in a place where you're like, yeah, I really do feel like I'm ready to advance and grow and get some additional information and some additional help and some additional skills from God right now, because He's ready. Sometimes people are like, oh, well, God doesn't answer my prayers. They say that to me. This is actually kind of a common comment that I hear from family and from people I don't know that well. They're like, Meg, will you pray for me? Meg, I need you to pray for me because God seems to listen to you. And I'm like, what? I don't think that I'm anybody special. I don't think that God listens to me more than somebody else or less. I think He listens to all of us. But I do think that I've been paralyzed long enough that I know what questions to ask. And sometimes when we feel like God isn't answering our prayers, it's maybe because we're asking the wrong question. Maybe we're asking for God to remove a trial that we need for some reason. We need that trial so that we can grow and stretch and have a reason to come to Him and be with Him and ask for more strength. Or maybe we're asking just why? Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? And we're not giving God a chance to help us to grow and help us to stretch. Like, we're not doing that. And so He's sometimes waiting for us to ask for the things that will help us endure our trials a little bit better, a little bit more, a little bit more happily, I guess, is where I'm going. And it's hard. And there are some severe and severely drastic trials going on. So I'm not discounting any of those. And I know that they're happening not just in the people that I know, but I know that they're happening with the people that you know and that they're happening with you. So if you want to dance with me, maybe we can take a moment and dance it out. Decompress a little bit with all of the trials and struggles that are going on, and just have a moment where we can just process and ponder and feel the feelings. There's nothing wrong with feelings, and they're okay to feel as long as we can be, sturdy to move on effectively after we feel those feelings. So I'm going to paint and dance for a minute with this cow. I love to dance. That's what I love to do, but I paint now that I am paralyzed because it feels like dancing. I know I say that all the time, but it really does. And I have found that as I paint to, each week to just kind of de-stress and have some alone time, I tend to paint my feelings like into the picture. And then the most miraculous thing happens is that I don't feel them very much anymore. So I put them in the picture, and I am noticing that this cow looks very sad. And I even speckled it with black because just this whole week has been really thick with a reminder of how hard people's lives are. not mine. I'm not complaining about my trials. I'm just saying that there is a heaviness to pretty much everyone that we know. They have, secret trials and hard times and things that they're dealing with, and it's okay. It really is okay, because the trials and the hardships are what make life colorful and meaningful and help us to learn, and trials open doors that blessings never could. And so I'm not saying that we don't need trials. I'm just saying that there are a lot going on right now. So I'm naming this cow Sad Cow. This is the Sad Cow painting. He is full of grief and pain from the trials of people that I know and the people that you know, and I put it all in this painting so that hopefully it's okay. We can just manage it, we can pick ourselves up, we can keep on rolling if that's the only way we can keep on going. So thanks so much for painting with me today. I really appreciated you being with me, and I love this alone time that I can have with you where I can paint all my feelings and dance in the way that I can dance. So we'll see you next time.